Hi there, let's deal with the planets and other objects in our solar system. So, as you know, our solar system consists of a star. It's a fairly young star when we look at how color and size determines age. Yellow doesn't indicate as old a star, and further to that, it's not very hot yet. Our sun, as it converts energy, gives off solar flares, and it has sunspots on it, and it has a core. The asteroid belt is fairly significant when it comes to our solar system. The asteroid belt, which is rocky and sometimes known as minor planets, is sometimes considered the halfway point in our solar system, and it's located here just after Mars. Comets are basically dirty snowballs in the sky. And so here are the relative sizes of our no longer 9, but just 8 planets in the solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the inner planets. Then, of course, you have the asteroid belt, which separates the inner planets from the outer: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then, of course, no longer considered a planet, Pluto. So 4 outer planets, which have characteristics in common, and 4 inner planets. So here are the inner planets, also called terrestrial or rocky planets, because they do contain a solid rocky core. They're smaller in size, they lack moons, and so Mercury, Venus, almost sometimes called Earth's sister's planet due to the similar size and therefore similar gravity, Earth, and Mars. And what do we know about the jovial planets? They're called the outer planets. They're colder, they're much larger, and therefore a stronger pull of gravity, mostly gas with very little solid surface. Lots have many moons and rings, and they rotate much faster on its axis. So one day is a lot faster. What is a planet? By definition, a planet is an object in orbit around a star that does not give off its own light. Rather, it shines based on reflected light. Planets close to the sun are rocky, and planets further out are gases and liquids. There are, as you know, 8 major planets. Inner planets are called that because they're closer to the sun. And so that's Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Outer planets because their orbit far from the sun: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and of course Pluto's got a question mark because it's not really considered a planet. Asteroids are sometimes called minor planets because they're made up of rock and metal. Rocks come in many sizes. Larger rocks are usually asteroids, and they're found in areas between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. Meteoroids are loose dust particles that come from a comeroid. Most are small. When it enters Earth's atmosphere, it forms a bright light called a shooting star. Most meteoroids break up in the Earth's atmosphere. When they break up and they hit the ground, they're a meteorite. So here are planets from closest to farthest. Venus is the hottest planet. Mercury has the shortest revolution around the sun. Earth is third from the sun, the only planet with water. Mars is a red planet. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the Sun. It's a gas giant, has the strongest gravitational pull. Saturn has the beautiful rings. Uranus is also gassy. And Neptune, don't forget, Pluto is not considered a planet anymore. So you should be able to label the solar system. There's the Sun. Notice these are elliptical orbits. This would be Mercury. This would be Venus. This would be Earth, Mars, then the asteroid belt, then Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and then Pluto way out here with the weird orbit. There's little tricks to remember the order of the planets. One mnemonic device is my very educated mother just served us nachos. So these are pneumatic devices. My for Mercury, very for Venus, educated, mother just served us nachos. We've covered the inner planets before. And we've covered the outer planets. Asteroids are chunks of rock or metal that orbit the Sun. Comets are large balls of ice and dust that orbit the Sun. Let's look at the brain pop on the solar system.
Hey, Moby, I think I see aliens. Oh, never mind. I think they left. Dear Tim and Moby, can you tell me all about the solar system? From Sam. Well, the solar system is our home in the galaxy. It started out 4.5 billion years ago as a big cloud of gas and dust out in space, mostly hydrogen and helium. Over the course of millions of years, gravity pulled the elements of this dust cloud closer and closer together until clumps began to form. The cloud also began to spin, with the biggest clump in the center. Pressure caused by gravity ignited nuclear reactions at this biggest clump's core, setting it on fire. It became the Sun. The smaller clumps became the planets that we know about today. Some of them formed hard hunks of rock called the terrestrial planets. Earth is one of these. Others became big balls of mostly gas called gas giants like Jupiter. Well, the Sun is at the center of our solar system. It's actually just a medium-sized star, but for us it's the most important star there is. The 8 planets in our solar system are satellites of the Sun. That means they travel around in an orbit. The 4 inner planets are rocky, relatively warm, and have craters. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It looks kind of like our moon, and it has one very hot side and one very cold side. There's no water on Mercury, and there's very little atmosphere. No, you couldn't go there. You'd probably either melt or freeze. Venus is almost the same size as Earth. It's sometimes called Earth's sister planet. The dense carbon dioxide atmosphere on Venus traps so much heat, the surface can get up to over 450 degrees Celsius. Yeah, you'd definitely melt on Venus. Third from the Sun is Earth, where we live. It's got just the right conditions for humans, plants, and animals. Mars is called the red planet because of its reddish surface created by the iron in Martian rocks. Mars has 2 moons and the tallest mountain in the solar system, called Olympus Mons. Although it's pretty dry right now, scientists think Mars was once much more like Earth, possibly with oceans and rivers flowing on its surface. 4 outer planets are really far from the Sun, so they're much colder. Jupiter is the largest and one of those gas giants I was mentioning before. It's huge, with a mass 318 times that of Earth. It also has a permanent storm on its surface called the Great Red Spot, which is way bigger than the entire Earth. Saturn is another gas giant, with more than 45 moons orbiting it. You probably know it by its amazing set of rings. The rings are a thin layer of millions of chunks of ice and rock. Uranus is a gassy planet with small gray rings and more than 25 moons. It's tilted so that it looks like it's lying on its side. No one knows exactly why that is, but some scientists think the planet was knocked around during its early days by some other passing body. Neptune is the last gas giant, and it has more than a dozen moons. It was named after the Roman god of the sea, maybe because it's so blue. There's a stormy, great dark spot on Neptune that's kind of like the great red spot on Jupiter. Right, the solar system isn't just planets and the sun. There are lots of smaller bodies floating out there too. Asteroids are pieces of rock centimeters to hundreds of kilometers wide that wander the solar system. Most of them are concentrated in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The dwarf planet Pluto, known as a main planet until it was demoted in 2006, is a cold, rocky body, even smaller than our own moon. Pluto has an odd elliptical orbit that sometimes brings it closer to the sun than Neptune. It also has at least 3 moons, Charon, Hydra, and Nix. By the way, Pluto isn't the only dwarf planet. Others include Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt, and an object named Eris, which is slightly larger than Pluto. Comets are clumps of ice and dust that orbit the sun. When they get close to the sun, some of their ice forms long, wispy tails that you can sometimes see from Earth. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud are areas in the far regions of the solar system where small bodies like comets are thought to originate. I know there's quite a variety of stuff in the solar system, right?